I'd rather do the hard work myself and make the consumer not have to worry about changing their factory or their boiler at home or their whatever they're using the gas for, because I can transform hydrogen into gas, and so they can continue using the existing infrastructure. My name is Marco Alvera. I'm a co-founder and chief executive officer of TESS, Tree Energy Solutions. So Tree Energy Solution is a company that we started to really focus on what we call ENG, electric natural gas. It's otherwise known as synthetic methane. So it's essentially a product which is identical to fossil gas, but it's made from low carbon sources. So you take solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, whatever you choose as a low cost, low carbon energy source, and turn that into green hydrogen. And then you turn the green hydrogen into gas by adding the CO2. So let me just make it very pragmatic. We have a project in Quebec, for example, where we take hydroelectric power from Hydro-Quebec. We take locally available CO2. We merge the hydrogen and the CO2, as I mentioned. We create gas, which is chemically is CH4, and we sell that gas to a local utility. So that is basically what this product is. We have been founders of what is called the ENG Coalition, where we have about 24 companies now, 25, I think. We have Shell, we have Total, we have Engie, we have Sempra, we have Mitsubishi. So that's some of the world's largest companies, all believing in ENG, because ENG is essentially the cheapest e-fuel to make. So whereas with eSAF, you have a difference of like 5-to-1 or 4-to-1 or 6-to-1 comparing fossil kerosene with synthetic kerosene. In the case of ENG, if you go to countries like Europe or Japan or Korea, you only have a 2 or 3-to-1 difference. So it's still relatively expensive, but the gap is much smaller than other fuels. We're just trying to make sure that when standards are being set, when certificates of origin are being defined, for example, we recently had a historic agreement between the shipping companies at the IMO level to make sure that all ships go green. So there's a big CO2 commitment to reduce by 2030 and by 2040 at increasing percentages, and to make sure people are aware of the benefits of ENG. So the coalition is, I would call it a comparing of notes more than a lobbying group, but it's just making sure the advantages of ENG are being understood, because it's such a noisy environment where it's hard for one company to kind of make its product stand out. So by joining forces with many other companies, you just have a collective voice which is stronger. But if you look at the IEA, if you look at S&P Global, if you look at Shell, in the recent reports, ENG is just increasingly showing up as kind of one of the most pragmatic solutions. We don't see this as kind of us versus the others. We see this as a really collaborative effort, especially as the market scales up. The same way oil and gas is very collaborative, the same way the LNG industry is very collaborative. If you look at the big energy projects, you always have 5 or 6 companies kind of sharing into the same project. I'd much rather have 20% of 5 projects than 100% of one project. I'm spreading the risk, I'm learning, I'm transferring knowledge, and we're getting the industry going. Then there will be time to go and develop more. Conferences like this is when you share what you've learned, and you take a lot of notes, you meet people who are trying to work on the same issues, and it's really priceless. And I think the world of academia and policy making, policy proposals without industry doesn't work, and the same is true the other way around. And so I think media is kind of what brings these things together and makes it more mainstream. But it's really about sharing and learning and moving the agenda forward.